from a man that not only has walked with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but a man who is walking with his companion, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that has a particular perspective of this man's identity, his work, and his mission. So I implore you to put on your thinking caps, attention, but don't be so at attention to sleep or you'll be rigid. We want you to relax, but we want you to keep your mind open. We want you to keep your heart open. We don't want you to prejudge what you're going to hear today. We want you to weigh the facts against everything that you have ever come in contact with as far as scripture, and especially as it relates to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, and Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we want you to relax yourselves. We're happy that you can be here. For those of you who came for the very first time, we want you to know that the check procedure is not designed to single you out or to... The check procedure is to ensure that we have a peaceful meeting. And we hope that the brother or sister who checked you at the check post did not embarrass you or insult you in any manner. If that did occur, we humbly apologize. We want you to have everything off of your mind. We don't want you to have any kind of doubt or reservation or any kind of preconceived idea of what you're going to get today. We want you to come with an open mind and an open heart. So, brothers and sisters, before Brother Minister Jabril comes forth, we're going to hear a word from our sister minister, Aisha Muhammad, who will be coming forth in just a few moments. You know, the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper is very powerful, very important. We need to get the paper. We need to study the paper. We had a wonderful session Friday night dealing with the opponents of Islam and how they will be destroyed and will not prevail. And you know that we have been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that if the nation is never to go down again, then how can we ensure that it won't go down again if we do not study? So in the study session that we had last Friday, very energetic, very stimulating discussion on the opponents of Islam and how we have to check ourselves to ensure that we are doing our part so that we can fit into the big scheme that Allah has set up, the plan, the ultimate plan of Allah that is set up for the rise and the continuance of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad given to us by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. So we're happy today that you could be with us. We wish that we could have more here. We wish that there was standing room only. But it's not sometimes the quantity, but sometimes, in most cases, it's the quality. So Allah chose you to be here today. He chose me to be here today. So let us accept what God has ordained. Let us listen intently to the words that come from this microphone today. And at this time, I'll bring before you our beloved sister and minister, Aisha Muhammad. Please receive her.
I bear witness to the one God who came in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. I further bear witness to his Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank them, and we could never thank them enough, for leaving with us a sign of God's mercy, knowing that we would not heed the call of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, giving us a second chance in the person of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I greet you in our nation's greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone this evening?
Fine.
Well, brothers and sisters, we have been blessed to have someone who is a close companion of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, but who also was a companion of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. There is a verse in the Quran that as I was looking over it, I thought of how how very important it is for us at times to have someone who knows the history. Because some of us are very new on the scene. We have not been blessed to see the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And some of us are just now being acquainted with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. So it is a blessing to have someone who knew and who knows both men, but not only know them as I would be acquainted with you, but who is acquainted with them through the scriptures. And I heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said that no one in North America would know him better than Minister Jabril Muhammad. Right. Because he is acquainted with him through the scriptures. I would like to read this verse, and then I am anxious and eager to hear from him. In Surah 4, verse 83, it says, when there comes to them some matter touching public safety or fear, they divulge it. If they had only referred it to the apostles or to those charged with authority among them, the proper investigators would have tested it from them direct. Were it not for the grace and mercy of God unto you, all but a few of you would have fallen into the clutches of Satan. So, brothers and sisters, the message that we're going to hear today is an important one, because we know that the enemy is planning. We know that he is not satisfied with the rise of the Nation of Islam, and we know the plans that we have for the elevation of the black nation. And we realize that when the enemy is quiet, then he is planning. There has to be someone who is prepared, especially prepared, to help us to withstand and weather the storm that is coming. So I say to you, brothers and sisters, listen intently, that this is not an entertainment session, that this is for you to learn and maybe to save your life. So I thank you very much for your time and attention, and I bring before you our friend, our helper, and aider in the cause of Islam, Minister Jabril Muhammad.
All praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. We thank him for blessing us in the most, I would say, best way possible, by raising from among us the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for very special purposes, and it involves the raising of us up from the dead and forming us into a nation that will live forever. My dear brothers and sisters, we do have a very serious talk, information, I should say, to share with you. I want to make a few preliminary comments that really are important before we get down to the core of what I came to share. Number one, when I called Minister Harvey this morning, I gave him the greetings, he gave me the greetings back, and I asked him how was he and how was his family. And he told me how he felt, generally, and he told me the circumstances of his family that revolves around his newly born child and the critical condition of the child. What I'm touching without going any further into any further detail is that the expression of the greeting was genuine between us. Otherwise, he certainly wouldn't, for example, have shared with me the personal circumstances of his and his family's life, which really is all of us here at this time. And I say that to say, and of course I said to him afterwards, I would say a prayer that hopefully would be of some assistance to his child and to his family. Now, there's a lot in those few words. You heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan developed a fantastic subject last week, Saturday, all out of the Greek. And as I watched him, my mind went back to this city, April 1960. I wasn't privileged to be here in that particular time, but I got the tape. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, speaking in a church, began by defining the words, Assalamu alaikum. And it took him 20 minutes to do it. I was so impressed with it, I copied it out word for word to study it, because I never understood that there was that much in those words. Ordinarily, we greet one another in this world without any real regard for that person that we're looking at and talking to. Hello. What the hell does that mean? What does it mean? And since we don't know what it really means, why do we use it? We should all strive to learn to know what it is that's coming out of our mouth. That's right. And we should never say, stop it from this day forward if you can, or at least decrease it, saying, you know, I can't explain it. You can't explain it. Everything can be explained. Right. But that's a lazy way out. There was a brother who died earlier this year, Malcolm's older brother by 2 years, who was my second minister in the Nation of Islam, Brother Omar. He was the person who really put it on me to improve the quality of my vocabulary. I would say, like so many of us say, when you come up to a point that you don't really feel like going into, or you don't have the words, or you haven't taken the time to get them, I'd say, you know. He'd say, no, I don't know. I said it. He kept on like that for a while, until one day I got the message, and I went out and bought the biggest dictionary I could find. One of these great big Webster's dictionaries. Myself and another brother was living with him at that time in his family. On my way up to my room, I put the dictionary on the television, and I let it sit there, letting him know that I got the message and I'm on my job now to improve the quality of my own mind. Very, very important. That's all we're doing here. We're gathered here to make sound and to understand some sound, words. Yes, sir. Right? Yes, sir. If you know nothing about this teaching at all, if you don't really understand the Honorable Louis Farrakhan very well, what is it about words that causes a person to go out seeing him in this thing called our head differently or better than before we heard whatever it was that we're going to hear right now? What is it? Very interesting, isn't it? Can we see the words? We can hear them, but can we see them? What are they? It is said generally, well, the words are spirit. But what is that? What does it mean to be spiritually developed? What does it mean to be spiritually dead or spiritually alive? What are we talking about? One of our beautiful sisters in Chicago, Sister Michelle, wrote an article in the current issue of the Final Call, in the section, What Islam Has Done for Me. There's one sentence. Well, let me go back. She said, my first visit to the mosque was on November 19th, 1989. I was a little reluctant, but a sister by the name of Alice X made me feel comfortable. Minister Farrakhan spoke on how trials purify. The words he said stirred something in me that I cannot to this day explain. On this day, I accept the teaching. But she doesn't know what it was that was stirred in her. Something has been stirred in each of us that say we are with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. What is this thing that was stirred in us? Can you see it? Can you eat it? Can you reach in and pull it out and show others what it is? It's called spirit, but what is it? It's important to know that, isn't it? Yes, I hope one thing, if nothing else, in the next hour or so, that I provoke some of the deepest thought you have ever given to any subject in your life before you leave. If I can do that, I feel that I would have spent your time well. I also, by Allah's help, want you to leave here with a better understanding of some aspects of this great brother, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, than before you came in, even if you have been in the Nation of Islam 50 years. Now, the handbill, I don't have one in front of me, but the handbill says, why Farrakhan? And I asked Minister Harvey, would they please make 3 question marks? All the rest of what's on the handbill, you all put that there. I don't know anything about being a special spokesman, but I do know that I do have good knowledge of our brother, otherwise I would have no right to stand here before you and eat up your time. One day I said this to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Phoenix, Arizona, 1971, May. I waited till everyone else left the table because I wanted to say this heart to heart. I was expressing to him my gratitude to the living God for blessing me to be born in the time period when he is doing his work. I told him this, and I said to him that I'm thankful to Allah for blessing me to get a chance to know you. I said, I know I don't know you as well as many do, family members, others in Chicago. But I do know you better than untold millions and billions. And I know I wasn't put in this position to show off or act big, but to learn everything I possibly can from you and about you and pass it on as accurately as I can to others. Well, I'm among those privileged to some degree to be in that same position with respect to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And what I have been talking since he made the move he made 17 years ago is trying to tell everybody I can find the relationship between him and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because if you don't know that, then you don't understand this man at all. And you don't understand this so-called movement at all. And you don't understand what the Nation of Islam is about, and you don't understand the time. Therefore, you will not know what to do. Serious. Why 3 question marks? I wanted to convey the idea of trust. Now, you saw this man here last week, and you've seen him on other occasions, most of them. Some of you who are visiting today, you may have seen him on television. What are you looking at? He's a man. Suppose you were in some city where he was going to speak, and you didn't know anything about it. And you decided to go down for coffee at your hotel or motel or whatever. And there is this man sitting down, drinking coffee, reading a newspaper. Now, to the average one of us, he would look physically attractive. What? He would just be another man sitting there with a jumping suit on and sneakers, right? Reading a newspaper, drinking his coffee. And you look at him and mind your business and go ahead and do whatever else you came to that restaurant to do. If a couple of hours later, you saw him and his security force walking through the hotel lobby, you would have a different view of him, wouldn't you? He wouldn't look like the man in the jumpsuit and the sneakers, drinking coffee, reading a newspaper, who was attracting no special attention. That is, if nobody knew anything about it. But all of a sudden, seeing him with brothers in the military step and going out, and there's 5 or 10 cars, he's going off somewhere, you'd say automatically, that's the dignity of some sort. Wow, I wonder who that man is. If you, let me say this in between the 2 statements, if in that restaurant you had some reason to talk with him, you dropped something and he picked it up and gave it to you, you engaged him in conversation, you'd be impressed by his beautiful smile and his beautiful demeanor right off the bat, and the beauty of his voice and the way he looks at you. That would strike you, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
But if I said, and you might want to know more about him, if you got him involved in some kind of a conversation, you'd be very impressed with him. I don't care what the subject is. Even if you knew more about the subject than he did. The way he would relate to you would cause you to think about him as you left him and went about the rest of your business. But again, if you saw him later on, going out to the car, you would know here's a person that at least some other people consider very important. So who is he? Well, he's a man. His name is Louis Farrakhan. He has a family. He has some followers. What does that tell us? read my article, or maybe some believer, someone connect him with Aaron in the Bible, or Peter, Paul in Scripture, or something like that. What does that mean? You've heard that kind of talk, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
What does it mean? What are we talking about? I want you, as Brother said, to put your thinking caps on tight, very tight. I'm going to have to catch a plane, unfortunately, as there's no other way for me to do this thing. I tried my best to find some other way. I have a very important appointment in Chicago tomorrow that the minister has arranged for me at 10 o'clock. And it was a matter of whether I should catch a red eye and not have it together at 10 o'clock, or to leave on the 5-something flight. And white people last night were telling me it would be $669. Don't care how I got out of here. So I said, well, that limits me with the believers, because I would like to socialize and see some people I haven't seen in quite a while afterwards. And get a good meal, lovely beans, some things, a Muslim drink, and then go on about my business. But I can't do that. And plus $669. Well, the brothers picked me up at the airport, and I asked them to take me to the other section, and I bought my ticket. And this black woman fixed the price. She said, brother, pay this. And she showed me the ticket, and all of a sudden, the figure was magical. It went from $669 down to $327. It's a hit of a button. I'll be with the $669. Thank you. Because I don't know that I'm going to be able to finish up what I have in my mind. I'm just talking to you. I can holler and scream and do some other things, but there's something that's sitting in my mind that I want to get across as clearly as I can. I stood over in that corner and I watched it, and I watched you all watching it. And as I watched, the subject formed in my mind. Why? Why that, brother? Now, I want you to think on it for a few minutes, or whatever comes in your mind when you see that title, and contrast that with what you will hear me deal with in a minute. I want to speak on one specific aspect, which is kind of fat in its meaning, but I want you to think about whatever you have in your mind about our brother, and that subject, what? Why Farrakhan? In this city, you have, as we have in some cities, I would call it competition. From some other brothers, you have Silas Muhammad's newspaper, called Muhammad Speaks, and he has his following. It's a brother that I've known since the early 70s, mid-60s, 63, 64. We have Imam Wahid Muhammad's newspaper sold in this city. I buy them every time I get a chance. I buy them. And every time I get a chance, I also buy this other Muhammad, John Muhammad. And from what I understand, from the brothers who picked me up, that the general public really does not know the difference between these people, all of whom saying they're Muslims, and all of whom are saying, follow me. Well, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan says the same thing, follow me, doesn't he? He's a leader, he has followers, and he works to get more followers. Why? Why? What gave him that idea? What gives him the right to do what he's doing? What is the basis? What on which he stands? What motivates him? That's getting into the why of this subject. Now, it's interesting. This is a computer. Isn't it interesting? I asked the brothers in Chicago earlier this year, brother who's a computer whiz, if this little laptop, same power and juice, if you go back 15 or 20 years, what would the size of it be? The brother said it would exceed the Mosque gymnasium that we were in. It would be huge. And the white people have now learned how to make this thing smaller and smaller and smaller and increase the power. You know why I mentioned this to you? Because when we were little children, Santa Claus was big. Why did he have to be big? God was pictured in our minds how? As big. Big. and old, but also big, obese big, fat big. Huh? Why? Well, we was little children, and we look up and all the grown-ups are big. And they got authority, they talk down to us, their voices are loud, they tell us what to do, they be our behind. And the idea of God was forming in us. So we pictured him as like the people who were looking down on us, but even bigger, probably with a bigger voice, who threw thunder down, made a lot of noise. Interesting. Size has nothing to do necessarily with quality, right? Necessarily. Brother made a comment, very interesting comment, about the people here in this audience. We thank Allah for those of you who, I think you said sent. Yes, sir. That's interesting. Most of you who were here, or all of you probably, in fact everybody was here at one time or another, somebody invited us. But when the brother said sent, he thanked God. Yet each of us know some individual brother or sister or combination thereof invited us, whether it was yesterday or 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Right? What does God have to do with that? If this brother says the right words and I come here to this meeting today, what has God got to do with that? Huh? Why should my other brother thank the God when it was this brother who invited me and got me here? What does the Supreme Being have to do with the action that went on between the two of us that resulted in me coming here, hearing what the minister has to say? You were right back to this thing called spirit again, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Now, my dear brothers and sisters, the question why that I have in my mind is the why that's involved in the minister prior to his birth. That's the why that I have in mind. Now, I have in here a dictionary. Two of them. White folks call this first one the American Heritage Dictionary. I want you to follow with me for a moment on the word why. If you don't have good dictionaries in your house, you should go out and buy some. Why? For what purpose, Farrakhan? For what reason, Farrakhan? For what cause? Or with what intention, Farrakhan? That's all involved in the word why. For what or with what justification, Farrakhan? What motive, Farrakhan? Now, the motive who? Him? Or what produced him? Or both? The reason, cause, or purpose for which, Farrakhan? On account of. For which? The cause or the intention underlying a given action, situation, or in this case, person. From those words alone, we can see there's something to be considered more than just that man who made that beautiful sound and who looked very beautiful to us last week. What produced that man? Mother and father? No. No. Why? Why can be a difficult problem or a question. Can it? Huh? That's why I put the 3 question marks there. To really get down deep enough as far as we're going to go in this next few minutes, where we got to go, with respect to who this brother is and therefore who we are and what this situation is all about, that produces automatic problems. If you hate black people, love white people, want to turn white after you go to heaven, and a man steps forth and talks talk that extols the virtue of non-white people, not necessarily to the detriment of white people, but the talk is good about black folk. If you're sitting there and you love white folk intensely, then that kind of talk irritates the spirit in you.
That's right.
Will it not?
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right.
Suppose you have seen Minister Farrakhan on television, but for some reason you came anyway today. And you like him and don't like him. He says some things I like, but some things I don't like. Well, suppose we touch on the area that you don't like and go deeper perhaps than the point he was making on the television. Then your don't like might increase. Right? I want to be sure we understand each other. Come on. Let's look again at this word, why. Let's go to Webster's for a minute. For what? For what reason or purpose? Farrakhan. For what cause or reason? For which, on account of which, the reason why, the reason for which. A question concerning the cause or the reason for something is done, achieved, whatever it may be. In this case, we say what? We say all of our people should follow the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We say that without any shame or embarrassment. That's right.
That's right.
We say the government should follow his lead.
That's right. Yes, sir.
We say the religious, wise scientists of this world should follow his lead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why? Isn't that making a ridiculously exaggerated claim for a brother? So many times when people talk like that, they're trying to position themselves to gain something. By making this other man look good, they're trying to curry favor or get in some kind of position themselves. That's not where we're coming from. If people talk like that, then they should be able to back that up, shouldn't they?
Yes, sir.
One other little thing about this word, why. That I hope that you will not get angry about, that you will really listen to, but there's one major concept that we got to go over, and I'm going to say it as clear as I can, even read it, put it on the tape. Not that I necessarily think everybody's going to accept it, but it's part of what you got to get sooner or later, if you're going to properly understand what this is all about. I don't take for granted that anybody listening to me because they say, smile, agrees with me. I will never assume that. I've been in this too long. I try my best to be as clear as I can so that when you go home and you start arguing with it, you have it to argue with. I'm gone. But at least if you get it clear enough, you can bring it back up. Now, we're living at the end of the world. White people have been in charge. And we are now living at the end of their time to tell people what to do.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Who decided that? God himself. Who is God? Well, God is a spirit. Right there, we got a problem. We have been in this country how long? A little better than 400 years. And as long as we have believed in and called on that spirit God, nothing changed. It may have given us for a minute or a moment a feel good. But feel good in America is insufficient.
That's right. That's right.
You have already heard, I'm sure, it's common knowledge now throughout the land, we don't dwell on it very much, that white people are devils. Not a devil, the devil. These people, white people, Caucasian people, who have given us natural and considerate and consummate hell, are the ones we thought we would die and visit or be taken to if we were what's called bad niggas. Bad niggas are niggas that disobey white folks. That's the way it was taught on the plantation. It's been sophisticated, it's been jazzed up, it's been fixed different, but it boils down to the same thing.
That's right.
That blunt language isn't used like that anymore. If you niggas don't serve white folks, If you don't serve the master, you're going to die and go to hell, and you're going to meet with a worse fate. Then on the judgment day, not after the devil gets through with you, God's going to get on your case. And you're going to burn forever.
Go ahead.
We believe that. Now, of course, we travel in the land and we're educated. And we're Los Angelinos. Sophisticated and all of that. Same language, but it's put different. Put fancier, but it boils down to the same thing. And it has, right, the same effect. The same as if when Mama said, when she wants to go to the store, and she didn't want us to tear up the house, she called down the boogeyman. We being young and dumb, didn't know. She conjured up this thing. And we believed it. And whatever we did it with the boogeyman in mind. Or maybe we might not have done it as bad. I can recall my brother and myself almost burning down the house. The fire got out of control, and we were so happy to see Mother and Father come in, even though we knew that meant terrific punishment. But it's better to get your behind beat than to burn up. Some of us did that when we were little, messed up. Mom and Dad came and they beat our backside. Notice when they were beating our backside, they didn't talk about boogeyman. They were boogieing on our backside. It's the same idea. You make it be bad, you're going to go to hell and meet white folks all over. They didn't say white folks. But that's what it boils down to. And we never stop to ask the obvious question. Man, wait a minute. Where'd you get that from? Somebody had to start that idea.
That's right.
And whoever it was that started it never died or was not dead at the point in time when they said that. So it's called nothing but a lie. But you know something, brothers and sisters? Every lie or falsehood, I don't care, every slander, every half-truth has down at its base some kind of fact or truth. Now, we, of course, have been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Mr. Farrakhan has made that clear throughout the length and breadth of America, that we have already died and we have gone to hell, and we are in the hands of the devil right now.
That's right. That's right.
What we thought we were going to do, we already have done it. The ones going to meet,
That's right.
So we don't belabor that because that's understood. White people themselves admit they're devils. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had, and Minister Farrakhan also had, an increased number of white followers. People have had years, decades now, to reason on this message. And there is a power throughout the earth making things happen that bears witness to this message. And people are becoming more and more reasonable in their reactions to this. And the only black people who are in leadership positions who oppose this are brothers and some sisters who are ego-tripping.
That's all.
That's the bottom line. I need to name names. You know who they are.
Yes, sir.
But I'm not necessarily talking about these brothers. But that's the bottom line. Those of us that say, I can't deal with Farrakhan, I can't follow it. If you examine their thinking, you will find they have what we call a mental block. Their thinking is of such nature that they go so far and stop their own reasoning process. Common sense should tell anybody with a superficial knowledge of this that there's got to be a power with this man superior to the power of his and our collective enemy. Common sense tells you that. Even if you don't know any more than that, even if your knowledge is right on the first stage level, no man could do what Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan have done. Just what they're talking and live. One of the first thoughts came to my mind. I said, man, as I heard Malcolm back there 40 years ago, I said, what happened to my folks and not know these people are? Speak more closely so be sure you hear me. That was a passing thought. It should be a passing thought with you. In the 1970s, it came out in the church report. Senator Church and headed up a subcommittee on the wickedness of America's government on her citizens. And it came out that 2,500 dirty tricks were played year after year after year on the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
The same kind of tricks this government played on foreign governments and destabilized
That's right.
was put on the Nation of Islam, and we only grew fatter and stronger and more powerful.
Yes, sir.
It took someone on the inside to cause us to go under. With no outside force. The government, think on the government now. This government got power.
That's right.
There is no power on earth superior to white folks other than the power represented by Minister Farrakhan today.
That's right. Yes, sir.
America got the juice. If you ever travel throughout the earth, you're more and more impressed by the fact this white boy is bad. He got the power. He makes other nations' leaders jump, hop, and skip when he tells them jump, hop, and skip. Although that power is diminishing, China barks back. The brothers in that part of the world have become an economic powerhouse, haven't they?
That's right.
Just a few years ago. Now, America got more bombs, more power to destroy than anybody else other than God himself. If she wanted to go berserk, she could just bomb everybody. Kill Chinese by the billion. Or millions, rather. It's about 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion, or 1.4 billion in that part of the world. She could bomb the Indians. There's 1 billion people over there. Couldn't she? Bomb Japan. She has that kind of power. So in terms of just raw power, she's got it. But she doesn't control the wind.
That's right.
She doesn't control the earthquake.
That's right.
She doesn't control the tornado.
That's right.
She doesn't control the killer bees.
That's right.
She doesn't control, what do they call those other things, the cyclone.
That's right.
She doesn't control the temperature. She doesn't control the rain.
Right.
She doesn't really control the animals when they go nuts. So the power is somewhat limited. My dear brothers and sisters, the most important fact about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was and is that he met with God in this country. That upset a lot of people. And then other people who later on accepted the nation, accepted him because of the economic development of the nation, pushed those kind of considerations aside. And so, of course, there's no real understanding of us as long as you say, well, we got peanut boat trucks, we got this, we got all these material things. If all the Muslims lived in $1 million houses, a lot of people would come and run to Islam. But what makes this whole thing tick? White folks got them kind of houses. White folks are rich. Are they not?
Yes, sir.
Did God really come in this country or not? That's the most difficult part of this whole thing. We can listen to a preacher state that Jehovah met Moses on the dirt in Egypt, a place you can get up in a plane and fly to. They may take you on guided tours and find a spot. Isn't that what they say?
Yes, sir.
And then the next point would be that this man, Louis Farrakhan, this beautiful black brother that a lot of people love, has been commissioned to represent this man, Elijah Muhammad, who left there 19 years ago and went to where his teacher is. And Louis Farrakhan says, this man who left is the Christ we thought left 2,000 years ago. He only left recently.
Come on.
I want to make this part of my talk super clear.
Come on now.
I mean, so clear.
Yes, sir.
That even if you right now saying, I'm sorry I came here, you walk out with this ringing in your head.
That's right. Bring it on.
You and I read the Bible.
Yes, sir.
We read about Jesus. And we were told that he came in fulfillment of what's called Old Testament prophecy.
That's right.
Abraham and Moses and all those people back then said this man was coming. And then he came. He was born of a woman, and he was a baby. And once upon a time, he couldn't hold a rock. But he grew up to be God. And at the age of 33 and a half, they crucified him. But in the course of a 3.5-year period, among other things, he demonstrated power over the forces of nature. He had the ability to read people's minds. Isn't that what you read in your Bible?
Yes, sir.
He could calm the sea. This man had juice.
That's right.
He healed people of their infirmities. He raised the dead.
Yes, sir.
And then he allowed his enemies to string him up, as we had been strung up here in America.
Right.
And they mocked and scorned him. They beat him up. And then, some way, he got away. The stone was rolled away. And he went up. And the first book, chapter of Acts, said there was some people watching him. And I'm not mocking. As he went up, with the aid of nothing they could see. Modern times call it beamed up. But he went up.
Yes, sir.
And he went up until he went to where clouds are. And as you know, when something goes up, where clouds are, then you don't see it anymore.
Right.
It can be a big jet.
What does that mean?
Now, did that happen 2,000 years ago? Did that really happen? And if it did, so what? What the hell that got to do with us? That anybody ever gives you from this day forward that don't explain slavery, which is, don't even waste your time listening. It's either coming from the mouth of somebody that's well-meaning and ignorant, or somebody trying to run more game. Remember now, that happened, they say, 2,000 years ago, roughly a little over 1,600 years before we came in bondage. Then the white man on the plantation, in addition to telling us be good niggers, said that that white man died to save us from our sin. That the white people put us in. Very good. I mean, when you look at the logic of this thing, you say, whoa, this thing is serious. Here's a man who was born mysteriously, born of a virgin. A woman never knew a man. And yet, the two books that talk that talk, Mark and Luke, give us his genealogy. Genealogy is your ancestral background. Everybody in this room got one. That's how we got here. Through a chain of mothers and fathers. Interacting, who produced somebody else, and they married somebody else who was produced by a mother and father. This chain keeps on going, and that's what they said in Mark and in Luke.
That's right.
And in the book of Luke, we have the more complicated situation of the genealogy of Jesus being traced back through this one, that one, and the other one, and finally, Adam, who was the son of God. What? Adam, who was the what?
Come on.
Son of God. How did God produce Adam and make him a son? All these others was married to some woman. That's how so-and-so begot so-and-so. Yet in the book of Luke, we go all the way back to God. Now here we have God and a chain of people. Joseph. Mary is sitting over here some way that we can't quite figure how she relates to this chain, because it's traced back to Joseph.
That's right.
And yet Mary gets pregnant. Now, is she pregnant now by the same God who produced this chain?
Come on, brother.
You know, there's tremendous wisdom.
Yes, sir.
Underneath every lie, there's some truth.
Come on.
I don't think we have enough time to get to this just like it is, because it's said too blunt and too clear and too plain might make a problem for some of us. So we ease up on some folks. I want to get some points over, though, for a few moments, to come to what I mainly want to get over concerning the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, which may be considered a little boring by some when we get to it, but I want to at least put it on the tape for you to chew it up, because what I'm going to say about him relates to every one of us in this room and wherever you find our people in this country. For all of us are the chosen of God.
Yes,
That's right.
And when the brother said that we were sent here, that's true. That's absolutely true. Now, brothers and sisters, you know, reasonably speaking, no one should have to prove to us white people lied to us.
Right.
But we are so much in love with them and their lives that a lot of work has to be done to disengage us from them and the lie.
right.
Now, even when you see a lie to be a lie, if you love the liar, there's still the emotional attachment. We have been made to believe white people are God. As we grow up, black is bad, white is good, white folks are God. Subconsciously, we've been believing that.
That's right.
We're coming out of it, but as a people, we're still in it. We're coming out of it, but we're still in it. What I'm driving toward, my dear brothers and sisters, is this. As the most difficult thing about Honorable Elijah Muhammad to accept is that he met God. And the most difficult part ultimately to accept about Minister Farrakhan is that he represents Jesus Christ, a.k.a. Elijah Muhammad, or vice versa. That's when you get down to the nitty-gritty. The most difficult part is the very part that will awaken all of us almost at once. What got Elijah Muhammad up in 1931? Let me take a few moments. I have expanded on this in a book called This Is the One. It's going to be reprinted pretty soon. I put words there in that book that I heard him say, and that I heard some of the old timers say, because I wasn't born at that time. Okay? From a small boy up, he was a reader of the Bible. As he got older, he had the thought that if he was living in the days of the prophets, he would have helped. As he continued to read, he felt that his father, who was a Baptist preacher, and others who he heard preach in the South, were not telling the book right. There was a conflict between what he was reading and what he was hearing. And he couldn't get that out of him. As he got older and older, he began to expect the appearance of the one he was reading about, the Son of Man coming from the east to the west. He expected a man. He didn't have it all together clear, but he expected a human being. That's a short version of something I spent several pages dealing with in that book. Now, when he heard there was a man teaching Islam in Detroit, he wanted to go. He thought Islam was a heathen religion. He didn't know what Islam meant. But he heard enough that made him think of certain things that was in the Bible, which he believed in, that made him want to go. And when he went, he has said to us, he said, as I looked at this man, who was going by the name Mr. W.D. Farrakhan, Wallace D. Farrakhan, that's the name he was using, which has meaning, by the way. It's not a casual use of names. They have meaning. He said, this is the man. He recognized him on first sight and fell in love with him right there. What he heard coming out of the man's mouth tallied, matched up, corresponded with what's in the book.
Yes, sir.
And he recognized that man to be the fulfillment, the embodiment. The fulfillment is the word I want to use.
Yes, sir.
Of what he had read. That's it.
That's right.
He got in line. When others were shaking the man's hand, and
Yes,
the
sir.
speech was over. And he got close to him. And it indicated that he recognized him. And the man looked around to see who else heard him. And pulled him closer and whispered in his ear, yes, I am that one. Who else knows that but yourself? Keep quiet. 1 month later, they got together. Master Farrakhan Muhammad visited his home. knocked on his door. He continued from that point on. He taught him the next 40 months, and then he was gone. And that's it.
That's right.
That's a lot. 25,000 people in Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, and in Milwaukee accepted the teaching. Many more came, but these 25,000 accepted and were given names. But nobody knew who that man was but Elijah Muhammad. Now, what was delivered, he was spreading the general message with great enthusiasm. I recall him telling me one day in the summer of 1966, he said, brother, he said, when I first got the word, he said, I thought I could get you all up in 6 months. He said, a little while later, he said, I revived my thinking. He said, I told Master Farrakhan Muhammad, 1.5 years I'll have it. He said, brother, if anybody had told me that I would still be here in 1966 trying to get you all this, I wouldn't have believed it. But what kept him driving?
Right.
That's the thing to look at. The why of the man. What keeps a man like Louis Farrakhan ripping and running through this whole country? You know, he spoke in the Midwest the day before I was with him in Houston, 3 hours plus. What drives this man?
Come on.
Why Farrakhan? The why 3 question marks. Because if we can accept this brother, we got it made. But if we turn this brother down, we turn down heaven for the worst chastisement human beings possibly. This man represents our last chance before something else very drastic happens. That some people are not going to survive. And everybody who survives will never be the same. For nobody goes through a trial comes out the same, come out better, come out worse. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, Elijah Muhammad continued for 7 years. You all who have visited, and you all who have been, every one of you should do an in-depth study of this. Don't talk about what else you know and you don't know this. Other than Marcus Garvey, who generated the first mass movement among our people in this country, the next man was Elijah Muhammad. And you just can't call yourself educated today and be ignorant of this.
That's right.
And you cannot properly understand the Honorable Louis Farrakhan without understanding his teachings. And the information is available.
That's right.
You should not let one day go by without increasing your knowledge of what this is all about. Now, you can't do that without studying the people who went on before you. Now, my brothers and sisters, where is Elijah Muhammad? The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, 9 years ago, told us of a vision that he had, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
And that's public information also. And he said that his teacher told him to say what he was to say, given to say. Say, tell him you got it from me on the wheel.
That's right.
I want to touch the wheel just for a minute. We are absolutely convinced that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad escaped a death blow
Yes, sir. That's right.
19 years ago.
Yes, sir.
That is written about in your Bible. That the way Muhammad escaped and the way Jesus escaped give us a picture of the escape of Elijah Muhammad 19 years ago from a severe death plot. And it was allowed to go down like that to fool people, to trick the opponents so they could do what they did, thinking he was dead. One of the best ways to overcome an opponent is to help get his ego all the way up.
That's right.
All the way up. Now, he escaped. Mr. Farrakhan went down. He got some extra training and then arose and this area, actually Hollywood. You know, I've been thinking, I told Sister also some months ago that I said, by the help of Allah, if I'm ever blessed to come here to talk to believers, people in general, my subject, I would want to call it, Why Hollywood? Why was that black man, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, raised in Hollywood? That's significant.
Right.
For his teacher, the Honorable Muhammad, said to us, on the other side, the nation of Islam would go down, would fall, but it would rise, never to fall again. And the rise of the minister is the rise of a people.
Yes, sir.
But why Hollywood? Why that man? Why Hollywood? Why out here where y'all live? Interesting subject. Jews rule Hollywood.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Anything to do with Jews. Out from Hollywood, the world is entertained. I don't care where you go, you're going to find the shows from Hollywood. And even though there are other cities and states now into the movie industry, it's still considered Hollywood. And it's Hollywood's brand all over.
Right.
Why Hollywood? I won't get to that, but you know something about Dr. Brother? It was a book, that's true. What was it about? It was about the subject of Jesus and the relationship of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus got one man up in the 30s. Jesus got the other man up in the 70s. Jesus will get us all.
Yes, sir.
Go over something about this man. It would take a lot of time to go through all of what should be said. You know, the highly sophisticated said. We ain't got that kind of time. To go through all of what should be said. To make this really understandable and acceptable to everybody. Even scholars. Because the masses of the people, the masses of us, don't know what the scholars know. Most black folks ain't read 5 books on Jesus. It's just whatever the pastor says, that's it. Catechism, little New Testament, a verse or two, and that's it. But there are people all over this earth who have proven beyond all argument that what you're reading in the New Testament, most of that is not and could not be and is not history.
That's right. Listen.
There's a lot that should be said to prove that, and I'd be very happy, by the help of Allah on another occasion, to deal with that extensively. But the bottom line is that the man we thought was here 2,000 years ago is dead.
That's right.
He's been dead 2,000 years.
That's right.
And that's why when you and I call on him, the whooping gets bigger.
Right.
Whoever's giving it to us, it increases. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The man is dead. Now here's the cold part about it.
Come on.
The Pope knows it.
That's right.
The what? The what? It's the Pope.
That's right.
He knows this. The Pope knows that he represents nobody who's in the sky. He knows
Right.
this. Hey, look, right over this rapper niggas, I got something to say about my big brother. But I got to go and say this other stuff first that some people say, oh, this nigga's crazy. You've never heard it before. But Jesus is dead. And you know, that's the problem. Because, look, whoever you accept as your ideal, that's the source of your value system.
That's right.
Whoever you, and whatever you accept as your ideal or your God, that's the source of what makes sense to you.
That's right.
That's the basis on which you form friendships or enemyships.
That's right.
Huh? Your God and what you think about your God or your ideal is how you get your view of the world.
Right.
So when a man messes with your God or begins chipping away at it, he's chipping away with the core of where you're coming from.
That's right.
And you will fight that person.
That's right.
So you go into a church, now think about it, 50 years ago. Go into a church, 5,000 strong. Go up there and tell those people, no, this is wrong. All this is wrong what y'all do. Man is dead. Plus, he wasn't white. Uh-oh. He was born of a mother and a father. Where you got it? Just those words alone will get you killed.
Yes, sir.
Why are we more willing now to deal with this? There's a change. There's a spirit throughout the land that somebody's generated. That's contrary to the position and disposition of white folks. And black folks who love white folks unreasonably.
Think over that.
Yes, sir.
I just want to cover this as rapidly as I can. I just got a few more minutes to do this. We were taught by the Almighty Muhammad. Now, you understand that there are details to get into, but we don't have the time.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's cut right to the bone. The man who was here 2,000 years ago was thought of for a while by the Jews to be the Messiah. One of the biggest problems among theologians, which is now beginning to dissipate, was why would the Jews reject the man their prophets described and told them was coming to do good for them? Why reject him? It's a big problem.
Come on.
We never told the truth about it. The nitty-gritty is they know this man is coming to kill them.
That's right.
And so, like any good crook, you want to get the one that's going to get you before he can get you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
They wanted to get him while he was a baby. For they feared if he grew up, he'd have juice and he'd come against them.
That's right.
They found out not long after that that man was not he, but they wanted to kill him anyway. This jet black baby was born of a mother and a father.
Right.
No virgin gives birth. Forget
Right.
that. When people don't think nothing of your intelligence, they'll lie openly. Right in your Bible, you can pick up the New Testament, he's born of a virgin. You go to the Old Testament, a virgin shall conceive. Well, that's in English. English wasn't here 2,000 years
That's
ago.
right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
English, Old English got here around about 1,500 years ago.
Come on.
That's right. Yes,
If you
sir.
go back to the language the book come out of, it said a young woman of marriageable age.
Listen.
And the word for virgin is not there in Isaiah 7.
Come on.
Another word.
Yes,
I
sir.
can't pronounce it. I don't talk Hebrew. But in the other language, the word means a young woman of marriageable age, meaning she's capable, if the right series of events take place, of getting pregnant and giving birth,
That's right.
like everybody else who's a female,
That's right.
that ever has lived on the planet. Nobody has ever got here, except the first life, without the agency of a black woman,
That's
or
right.
some woman down the road.
That's right.
That's a fact. You want to argue that? What would you use to argue?
That's right.
It wasn't there 2,000 years ago. You didn't see it.
That's right.
You're taking somebody else's word who's a lie. They gave you the Bible, us the Bible, right? And in it, I'm telling you, go do the research yourself. In every library in America, white folks tell on themselves.
That's right. Yes, they do. Yes, sir.
You can go get you a
That's right.
Junior Encyclopedia Britannica for children and open up to Christmas and Easter, and white folks tell you straight up, we're lying. Go get the book and read it.
Yes, sir.
Admit it, straight up. I mean, that's
Yes,
high
sir.
game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he's my friend. We run a game together, so I'll make him know the truth. Here's what's really happening, man. We run this game on her, or him, and say the same words that one person sees and somebody else don't see. The Almighty Muhammad told us that the wise top white Shriners, they know what's happening when they get up in that high thing. There's a condition that they don't go up fast because that's a trick. To be born white, this is your world, and all of a sudden to find out that it's a big game. And that your world depends on all these black folks staying asleep.
That's right.
And the masses of your white folks staying asleep. Otherwise, your world goes to nowhere. You got to feed lies to people.
That's right.
But once truth is known, then it's over. So truth becomes a problem. Now you got this Louis Farrakhan / Elijah Muhammad / Louis Farrakhan around the land explaining the situation. Pulling covers off.
That's right.
That represents a problem. Anybody who's in power, who's crooked.
That's right.
Which means everybody.
That's right. Come on, brother.
Just about 99 to 98. So what's the natural reaction? Get him.
Right.
Right.
Now, when they reached to get him, it didn't happen. What happened?
Come on.
There's got to be some kind of power preventing. You know how white folks are.
That's
They take
right.
it out.
That's right. That's right.
I want to put that on your mind again. There's got to be something with this man who was here last week
That's right.
and with the people who were with him. I'll come to that in just a second. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, this man was born of Joseph and Mary. When he was 6, they promised to marry each other. By the way, they were both very black.
Yes.
There's a black sister back here with glasses. This sister is light and gray the way that sister was back then. I mean, black, you know, black,
Sir.
black, evil black.
Dark.
I mean, purple black. And he was born of it. How did it happen? Very simple. Elijah Muhammad told us that Master Farrakhan Muhammad told him that these two were childhood sweethearts.
That's right.
When they got old enough, he asked the father, could he marry her? And the father rejected him because he was poor. Rough carpenter. My father was wealthy architect. No. The girl would not accept the hand of anyone else the father brought to her.
Listen.
Meantime, Joseph went off and married another woman, and in 6 years had 6 children.
That's right.
Now that piece, you have that piece is in the Bible. That's history.
That's
you
right.
only have a few bits and pieces of history. Most all of that is not history at all. One day, not long after, the girl, young lady, married, rather her father was going to visit the construction of a new mosque and told her, because of how most white men disrespect black women, and that he wanted her to wear a goat's beard, go into disguise when she went out to feed the stock so they would think that he was still there. When the father was gone, a huge dust storm arose, which happens in any desert throughout the earth. And she became frightened. And she called Joseph. How did she call him? Telephone? No. She tuned in. She called him up, rang him up in her head. Something we're able to do, but large, hog, beer, wine, whiskey, what? A mouth that slanders, that also dulls our senses.
That's right.
A lying mouth dulls our senses. Slanderous lips dulls our senses.
That's right.
Hearts full of jealousy and envy,
Yes, sir.
backbiting.
Yes, right.
It has the effect of dulling the senses.
That's right.
Okay? Makes the mind coarse. She called him and he came. They still loved each other. He took to the skies. He was there 3 days. She got pregnant. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
Father comes back. 3-4 months pass. Daughter getting big. He gets a little worried. Eat differently. No. Passes. She gets bigger. Worried. He starts putting on his beard. Because there's a law in that part of the world.
That's right.
Baby born out of wedlock, kill the mother. Baby don't get born out of wedlock. She's dead. Falls to the brother. There's no brother, then it falls to the father. This grieved him. Meanwhile, Joseph was on the streets of Jerusalem. Now, you and I have read that an angel came and told this man in a dream. All right. Please,
Come on.
who told Matthew that? Matthew never said, Joseph told me that he had a dream. Why didn't he put it like that? Huh? He talked like he was there. How the hell? Man, you wasn't there. If you were there, why didn't you speak like that? Why didn't you speak in a way that shows you had some testimony, some connection to the event? He said an angel came in this man said, had him talk to him. You don't know nothing about a dream of somebody else unless they tell you.
That's right.
So the angel came and told him, don't worry, it's all right. What's born of her is of the Holy Ghost. Now when you're real dumb and real ignorant, you go Holy Ghost. You and I was small and scooped up. Believe in ghosts. You're a little older, you find out that there's a scientific explanation for that noise or this or that or the other or that energy over there. You can explain it. But when you're dumb and you don't know, you go for anything.
That's right. That's right.
Boogeyman talk.
That's right.
Fat Santa Claus.
Yes.
Jumping down everybody's chimney simultaneously. Don't even get dirty.
That's right.
She explained the identity of the child. This is the last prophet to the Jews. They want to kill him. If his life is not protected, he will be killed. Here's what you should do. She gave him the knowledge of it. Told him to go back to the father and deal with it. He did. He went to the father of Mary, told him the situation. That included Joseph told him, among other things, that as long as that child's name lived, his name would live as the father. As he told this to the father, Mary's father, that thought went in his mind. You know how you want to use any kind of reason to keep doing something? He didn't want to kill his daughter. He listened to that. This was the way out for him. We don't know his name, do we?
No.
I don't say his name is not known, but Elijah Muhammad never told us his name. But what we do know is they agreed on the plan and they hollowed out one of the stalls, filled the front with straw, and that's where the child was born, with Joseph acting as the midwife. Now, he put the child and the mother on a fast camel. Some animals can understand some words.
Right.
There's elephants that can understand up to about 60 words, so I'm told, so I've read. Camels are very intelligent animals. She was put and her son on a fast camel and sent to Egypt. Now, Muhammad told us because she was a black woman, black people, safe. He went to school. Very, very brilliant young man. But he didn't know his ultimate destiny. One day, an old man who knew who he was eased up to him, eased up to some other students. And he could use this method of getting up to this particular boy.
Come on.
And he gave an address that he knew was right next to the address where Esau or Jesus lived.
That's right.
Remember now, Jesus is Greek.
That's right.
Okay, Jesus never spoke Greek. His name and the language in which he spoke was Esau. But we won't argue that. The other students said, here he comes. He knows the address is right next door to where Esau lived. And so they talked, and he was going on down the way to where his address was. And as they were going, the old man asked him what he was studying, and he told him. And he chit-chatted for a while, and then he asked him if he knew who he was. And he said no, but he thought he'd be a great man. He really didn't know who he was. And that's when the old man began revealing knowledge of who he was to him. And he told him that if the Jews are able, they'll kill you. When you get started in your mission, they'll kill you. And the thing he wanted to teach him was how to protect himself. And it was the ability to use this radio that's in our head. He taught him so well that it didn't take 3 lessons, as we were told, because he was a righteous boy. Preconditions for the growth of mental power? This thing called righteousness that scared the hell out of us is the precondition for the growth of the mental power. Now, he learned so well, he was able later on, when he was among his enemies, to go to sleep on him, thinking about it. And they made a move toward him, he'd wake up and go the other way.
Listen.
Well, he started his mission. His mother gave him a lot of money. He walked from Cairo to Jerusalem. It took him quite a while. He gave away the money. Very free-hearted, very open-hearted, free-hearted, giving type person, the way we are as a people.
Right.
And he gave it all away. He taught among the white folks, but the Jews specifically, for 22 years. They hated him, and their every effort was to kill him. He eluded them. Right? At a certain point, though, he came to realize that he was born 2,000 years. He came to see who these people are. This is the real Satan. And he realized he was too soon. But he realized who it was that was coming. And as he thought on this, I don't know how many days he thought on this. Week, a month, I don't know. He wasn't told. But whatever time he thought on it, he decided then just to give his life. There was no point in going forward. This was hopeless. And it was one day, the day that he got his largest crowd, around 35 people, was the day he died. It was raining that day. Yes, sir. We were told that on a Saturday between 9 and 10 o'clock, he was teaching a few people under a store where there was an audience, a Jewish store. There was a reward out for him, $1,500 if he was bought in alive, $2,500 in gold if bought in dead. Worth more dead than alive. This was to provide motivation for people to get rid of it. The Jews wanted him to leave because he didn't see where the people were buying. He felt that he saw Jesus was messing up his money. And he told them, he would get the people to buy, but the crowd got large and they still weren't buying. And so the Jew told him, I know who you are, I'm going to call you a prophet. Jesus kept on teaching. Brothers, our people, who were soldiers, came and they grabbed him. They wanted him war. They argued over which one touched him first as they were going toward the place where they were going to take him, jail or whatever he called it those days. He settled an argument between the two with their permission by letting them know the one on his right touched him about 3/10 of a second before the one on his left. That's right. Great sensitivity. And the other one left. And as they continued on, the brother started reasoning with him how that they want to torture you. And if you let me kill you, I'm a poor family, I'm poor. I need the money. If you let me kill you, you will even feel the sting of death. And he was reasoning with him. He stopped in front of a boarded up store and he said, come do it. And the brother with the short sword ran it through his heart with such force it stuck him against the board. He died just like that. And he died and his body froze just like that. That's right. That's how he died in the form of it. Your Bible tells you, you can read in your New Testament where Peter and Paul said that Jesus died on a tree. Right in it. How do you have that huge contradiction? And yet they say he died on the cross. It's because there's a lot of lies been told. Yes, right. Sometimes when you have a whole bunch of lies dealing with the same document, different concepts all get in there. And when you have an arrogant disposition, and you feel my game has got these people fooled. Yes, sir. You don't even bother to correct the thing. Or make it more, more of a cover. Wait. That's how he died. His father, Joseph, claimed the body. He only had enough money to embalm the body for 10,000 years. He had enough, he would have had the body turned into stone. 10,000 years. He's put in a glass tube. Down the road. Now there's one book. There's only one book that I've ever seen so far that I got my hands on. I never got my hands on. It's a popular book among some sort of called Holy Blood, Holy Grail, in which white folks are trying to say that his family did escape. Jesus was a married man. He had children. They escaped and went to Europe, and their descendants are alive today. I don't buy it. But in that book, there's an interesting statement to the effect that part of, or way down at the root of the motivation for the white folks and the Pope and the others to do the Crusades was to get that box. I can't pronounce the word too well. It's a box that you put dead people in. But the writers say it was a body in it. And the body they wanted to get, destroy the evidence, or at least hold it for themselves. That's right. I thought that was interesting. White folks know. That's right. Not all white folks. When the way this thing is going to go, if this country doesn't do right in their reaction to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I would say it agree.
Come on, brother.
What's going to happen is white folks are going to fight white folks.
That's right.
And a tremendous revolution. Now, there's something I got to get to. I just got to stop at some point and read you something that I want to lay on your mind. A concept which we've heard about, but we never have paid it the proper attention because it was never taught us properly. And that is that there are, from time to time, certain people and situations and objects that God Himself designs and makes as pointers or indicators of other things, people, events, and situations yet to come. That is a huge concept. Okay? This man is dead. But the meaning of his life, we were taught by the unlikely Muhammad, that man's life was a sign. A sign. I can't get into that properly right now. Properly, I can say it in a minute or two, but I don't want to do it like that. But his life was a sign, broadly speaking, aimed at us today. There's aspects of what I've just summarized that point to Master Farrakhan Muhammad, that point to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that point to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, that point to every black brother and sister in this country. Right. The real significance of Jesus for black folk is that that man, along with a lot of other men and women, in you and my Bible and Holy Word, their lives provide a mirror, books, as it were, for our education today. The real value of those books is that they show us, give us insight into ourselves. Haven't you ever had knowledge of something and then you pick up some book and you see the thing you're studying better? What is the book? Nothing but the words of somebody who may be dead or alive, whatever. But that's their word, that's their thinking, that's their communication, which they could have said to you if they was around or in your company, correct? Yes, sir. That's the point. Now, to really get into the depth of this, my dear brothers and sisters, we got to know who made it. This one, that one, and the other one design. And getting into that knowledge is going behind the veil.
Yes.
We have been separated from God Himself, in the hands of the devil, and alienated from ourselves and one another. What makes it so hard for us to get along is we don't know each other. That's right. You see a face, that brother, that sister. But who are you? You are not just your circumstances, which change from day to day or whatever, but also what makes up the core of your being. What are the principles or the elements that make you up, the quality from the character of God that forms you? Regardless of how developed you may or I may or may not be. You are what you are by reason of your nature. The method or the way by which we came into being forms our nature, determines our nature. To know each other is to know you in terms of your nature. The word self means nature. You don't know yourself. I don't know myself until I know my nature. And to get down into that, you got to get into what we call the attributes of God. Study those names. That's you. Various qualities, various combinations of these qualities, rather. But that's us. We never have been taught that. Have we?
No, sir.
My dear brothers and sisters, as I wind down this little chit-chat, white people getting ready to do a garage on this. They're going to write books. It's a big company right now, like Jesus, like Random. They're a big company. There may be others. Going to write books and explain the ministry. As I was coming here thinking, rather last week, I was sitting here thinking that I was going to just raise up a child, you and everybody else. Now, why don't you try to raise? I know we got a lot of things we got to do. I said, how can I just mention maybe the whole region, these they're very intelligent people. We don't always use our brains. But we got some monstrous, intelligent easily and still keep everything else going since the West got to come up. Why not make an effort and get involved with the law of success at its root? Now, let me explain myself. We were taught by Muhammad, something we never taught in school, that whenever there's a yearning on the part of people for a change, the people themselves begin, like a universal mind, to produce through some system that baby who will materialize what the people want. When that person comes forth, they become an irresistible force in that time. Such a man is Elijah Muhammad. Such a man is. That's right. That's a lie, isn't it? Can that be proven? Oh, yes. We can take the minister and start analyzing. Stop analyzing and go into this man and prove this man is precisely what we need. His look, his demeanor, his shape, his voice, his character, all that which he went through to make him what he is right now. He serves perfectly. A big purpose. That you know what? Involve the saving of the lives of millions of people. Even some Caucasians. Yes, sir. You read that Moses wanted Aaron and prayed for him. And God says, you got it. That's a short word. Not a theology thing. But he needed his man. In the earlier years, Ahmad Muhammad asked for help. But his reason for wanting a helper wasn't up to the quality, and it wasn't on the level of understanding of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. Who blame him to help? Elijah Muhammad thought that Waleed, one of his older brothers, was he. But he died. Then he thought Charlie was he. He died. Then he grew and grew, and then he knew what the man would do. And he waited. And he saw him in 1925. Again, I'm putting this on your mind to say you're a part of something that's super deep.
That's right. That's right.
And the more you plumb the depth of that which you are a part of, the more confident you will not feel. You will be that you are in the right thing.
That's right.
Going in the right direction. So when you contribute to your leader to help him, you're contributing or participating in the law that our ancestors subconsciously made use of to produce the man. So when you help the man, you're serving yourself because he was produced from our ancestors to serve. So you make it easier for him to serve us by helping him in various ways. And one of those ways is with cash money.
That's right.
I don't see why you shouldn't raise $114,000. Aside from everything else, it ain't got nothing to do with your regular action. Come on. Easy. Got a lot of folks out here loving me.
That's right.
A lot of people love him. Tell the people what he's trying to do. Some of the money goes to building funds and all these other things, but he himself needs money. He always has. He has oftentimes a lot of guests, 40, 50, 60, 80 people at his house. A lot of food. They have personal expenses. Not that he drives 50 cars. He can't do that. But he has expenses that are on a personal level to help him do those things that he must do. This dollar over here goes for that restaurant. This dollar goes for that. This dollar goes for that. But there's certain dollars he has to do the things he has to do.
That's right.
He's not the leader of a clique,
Thank you.
organization, a nation, and a world of thought. The whole world is coming up right here in America. Now the thing is, if it can be proven beyond all shadow of a doubt that this man, or these two men are from God, they absolutely are fulfilling prophecy, and we collectively are nothing. There's nothing we can do too good for such men.
That's right.
Really, when you get right down to it.
That's right.
The thing is, it takes time and patience to get down to that area of the teaching, and where the people would listen long enough. Get off in your study sessions and get down deep into this. If God is the author of this, then you're dealing with God's supreme wisdom. Anything other than that is no big deal. Huh? It don't make any difference. It's relatively irrelevant. If the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is not of a divine source, and if he's not backed by God, then we just got a beautiful leader, and we're scuffling through the best we can. But we're eventually going to go under, because white folks will get us sooner or later. And we'll get ourselves behind jealousy, envy, hypocrisy, and the like.
That's right.
I got about 15 or 20 more minutes. Here's how I want to use these few minutes with you. You're thinking, aren't you?
Sir.
Think. How is a man and some people back then signs of you? We were born out of wedlock. We're coming up. A people born out of the wedlock of unity with our own people. Joseph coming under disguise as Master Muhammad coming under disguise. The book tells you in Isaiah and other places, he would come wearing the clothes of the infidel, looking like it. He said he was into this country. He was in this country. He was in California for a while. I'm talking about somebody real.
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand that. Almighty Muhammad didn't get a in his ear. He met a flesh and blood man. Man. Man talking to man. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Think on that. You say, but how can God be a man? How can he not be a man? I want you to tell me, what did Moses meet in the wilderness? Spook or man? And then the Bible tells you later on that when Pharaoh's army was about to do in Moses and his people, there was that same God in that thing called a pillar of cloud by day and of fire by night. This thing, whatever it was, that he was in, could be seen. And it was from there that God who met Moses some years earlier on the earth, who was now in that object, destroyed the power of the forces of Pharaoh. Very interesting, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
When you and I see this whole thing clear, you see that the entire Bible and Quran is talking about us right now. And when you see it, when you really, really begin to see this thing, you get real happy. Yes, there is a huge object in the sky. It's a half mile by a half mile. It's big. White folks didn't build it. It was conceived, financed, and built in secret, launched and made public. White folks know it. Don't tell me they can see Pluto 4 billion miles away and can't see something a couple of miles away. White folks know about it. Prime time, a few weeks ago, October 4th, 1984, a UFO, white folks say, went up over one of the cities in Russia. And the dials begin to come on, the dials that say we're getting ready to launch. One of the missiles, or some of the missiles that were aimed at America, was getting ready to go off. The Russians went crazy. And then all of a sudden, things stopped, and the plane went away. That was right on the television. When I saw that, I said, whoa! 18 and 99, Holy Quran, and in that day we shall send some of them against us. Allah got the power to make them fight each other.
That's right.
And save us.
That's right.
Now look, bring Moses down in front. Bring Aaron down in front. Bring Pharaoh and his people down in front. That's a picture of our situation today.
Yes, sir.
Bring Jesus and his disciples and their enemies down in front. It's the same picture, another angle.
That's right.
There's other details, but all that's talking about right now. And if it isn't,
That's right.
Father to read it. If it ain't got nothing to do with us.
That's right.
Hell, now, is this feel good and talk? Is this something that you make up? No. We can prove mathematically. You know, if you get into enough details in those books, that correspond or tally with enough details that we are living through right now, then you have a situation that you don't just have, you know how they say in the movies, any similarity between this and that is purely coincidental or unintended, and we didn't mean that, right? Then you got a situation where the similarities are intended, in fact designed to point to the situation that we're in. The power that produced the people who lived a long time ago, recorded in those books, who are signs of us, that power today is guiding this whole operation. Here's a book I've written. It's Farrakhan the Traveler, but it's a little fatter than the one you saw already. I want to pull something out from this. I won't have enough time to do it all. But I just want to lay this concept down, in a part of it anyway. Please, Allah, that I'm invited back. I'd love to finish it off. I deliberately picked something written by white folks, because that's how a lot of us think. Sometimes adroitly or try to adroitly mix something white folks said to help black folks see what black folks said, so that it becomes more acceptable.
That's right. Teach, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Back in 1982, in December 82. Please allow this book will be out in about a month or 6 weeks. In his book, Things to Come, Professor Pentecost of the Dallas Theological Seminary in Dallas, Texas, took up the subject of types. Now, the word type is a more scientific word for the general word or idea of sign. This is a sign of that. But type is getting down deeper into it. He wrote on page 50 of his work that, quote, in addition to the straightforward prophetic utterance, prophets speak about what's going to come. Future events are revealed through types, symbols, parables, dreams, and prophetic ecstasy. Since there are attendant problems concerning the interpretation of prophecy as a whole, for there will be no understanding of prophecy apart from understanding its challenge. The student must therefore familiarize himself with the language of prophecy, its figures and symbols, as well as its method of communication. And then, I'm skipping some parts of this. Let us now, skipping a page, let us now read carefully and weigh the words of the scholars cited by Professor Pentecost regarding this aspect of divine prophecy, namely types. If we truly grasp it, we'll be in position to grasp the reason history repeats itself, and deeper, why there must come an end of this world and an end to the repetition of certain kinds of history. Furthermore, we'll be in a much better position to understand even the inner spirit that moves those who affect our lives today. And that's what I hope to help people see. If I'm lucky enough to be privileged to know the minister like that, I think any of you in that position, to know the inner spirit, to see him in private situations and see what moves that man, you have an obligation to share what you know to other people, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Finally, for the purposes of these articles, of this part of the book, we can be aided to understand Mr. Farrakhan as he was introduced or understood by the writers of the scripture. See, to understand the minister properly is to understand him from God's point of view.
Yes, sir.
And it helps you understand a lot of other things and situations from God's point of view.
Yes, sir.
Now, he quotes Milton Terry, who wrote, in the science of theology, types properly signifies the preordained representative relation which certain persons, events, and institutions of the Old Testament bear the corresponding persons, events, and institutions in the New. The only thing is, take your mind from 2,000 years ago, bring it to right down here, and you got it. Come on. The type has its own place and meaning, independent of the fulfillment of the antitype. The antitype is symbolized or prefigured by the type. The antitype, or that to which the type points, is the ideal and transcends the type, which points to the antitype. That is to say, the antitype, or that which is the fulfillment is greater than that which points to it. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You won't get this in the white folks' school books as such. If you go to seminary and get this, you're not going to get what it means. After you get all this concept, then what it got to do with me? Huh? Or the brother on the sidewalk? The sister in the cocaine house? What does it have to do with us in general? Or even the brother that was on the front of Fortune magazine a few weeks ago, who was as dead as the sister in the cocaine house.
That's right. That's right.
If something is in front of us, which ultimately was made by God to point to something else yet to come in the future, we will understand it, or the person, only to the extent that we know its ultimate purpose. People living back then had people or situations in their life that they partly, or in some cases, never really understood the purpose. The man we spoke about a moment ago, Jesus, at a certain point came to realize what his life was really for. He valiantly gave it up. Well, I'll just give it up. And he knew that his life then was going to be a point in something else. He just gave it up. That's it. We may know much about what we're looking at, but if we don't know the proper or deeper reason or the why for the existence of the person, thing, or event in terms of God's purpose, we really don't have the best understanding of what, or in this case, who we're looking at in terms of Mr. Farrakhan. This is especially true when that which is in front of us is a sign of that which is yet to come in the future and is instruction for people that are. Two other observations must be made, or made by these authors, are that the essence of a type must be distinguished from its accessories. Those, that is, the things around it that are not the main point. There was a real man named Samson, you were told. He was a short, powerful black man. He used to go in Mecca and lift a 2,000-pound bar up over his head. The scientists used his strength to talk about us down the road. The strength that we have, which has been, in a way, immeasurably increased by reason of slavery. White folks had their purpose for laying it on us, and God had his purpose in allowing us to have it laid on us. And once you understand that it was intended by God, I can't get into this properly, I haven't got enough time. Why God wanted us, allowed us to become absolute zero. It was to set up the way it was at the beginning when God started creation.
That's right.
I just say it that blunt. Your Bible talks in Isaiah and elsewhere. I will create a new heaven and a new earth. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be. John, the gospel writer, says, in the beginning. But the beginning he was talking about was with his teacher, Jesus. Right? And he compared that beginning with the very beginning of creation. We are now living in the time period, the early stages or decades of the recreation of the heavens and the earth. Way down the road, there'll be a total physical change. But it starts in our heads and hearts.
That's right.
It's already begun. And the reason that you're here is because God thought enough of each of us to send us by means of a brother or sister who invited us out of the spirit of the God who was working on him or her to work on you and me to get us here. And we are sent. I want to make that clear if I don't get nothing else in the next few minutes. Everyone is sent to serve the glorious purpose of serving as one of the bricks in the foundation of the kingdom of God.
Right.
If you and I I don't care what he or she looks like, how crazy they may be. Even the one you don't like right now. I'll say that again. Even the one you don't like or don't think too much of right now. That brother or sister was sent by a God that knows them as intimately me as he knows you.
That's right.
And knows that brother or sister better than they know themselves.
That's right.
Right. Your Bible and our Bible tells us that the chosen are people preordained from the foundation of the world. What is that talking about? Were you preordained? Yes, indeed. That's what I don't have enough time to deal with, dealing with this type thing. I mean, how does God do somebody an injustice? I'm going to make you a sign of that person. And what's involved? Hey, we got to get into this thing. Yes, sir. If you and I are the fulfillment, one of the things we get out of a proper study of this is that if we get into this, we get into something that can't fail. It's not going to fail, but we will not fail. There's certain, I'm going to say it clear as I know how to say it. Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan are fixed men. Did you know that Elijah Muhammad was given by his teacher portions of 104 books to read? Yes, sir. And he asked his teacher then, he said, are these books in the library here? He said no. He didn't tell him where they were, he just said no. When he was traveling years later, and he was in Washington, D.C., it dawned on him. And he had his wife to go in the bottom of the trunk and sit on that list. He began studying. And one day he told me, this is my face, told others too, turned over one book and there saw his picture. He said it's shocked and he slammed the book shut. He saw his own picture there in a book. I'm just touching it. I'm throwing that out there to say there's something in this whole situation that guarantees you success. If you just get up off the basement of the information that you've been given, at least try to climb to the kindergarten. That while we were undergoing slavery and beginning to come out of a phase of it, in the 1860s and 70s, on another part of the earth, the Son of Man was being prepared to come over here. You ever see this split screen TV? You see the screen, you see one action going on over here, another action going on over here, they're both happening at the same time. As we were coming out of slavery, there were some people that met each other, some heavy-duty scientists. White folks ain't got no power over. Right. Who are calling the Holy Quran the Exalted Assembly. Right. They met in secret. Master Farrakhan Muhammad told Elijah Muhammad that. That's how we know. He is from that group. But superior to that group. Right. They met in secret concerning us. And then, hey, they started doing things. Yes, sir. And you know what? Out of that came Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And you know what? Out of that came that chip that's in the sky. Yes, sir. You say you want some backup? You got plenty backup.
That's right.
It's up there. It's real. 1,500 bombing planes on it also. White folks call it UFO. It's not UFO. It's KFO. Right. No one's flying. Fly them know who they are. Yes, sir. And the white folks now. When they arrested down by Muhammad in 1940, they talked about that extensively. Okay. And you know what else came out of that? This country is filled with angels right now. If you read in your Bible, he will send his angels and carry them. They're all over. In every city. But you say they're invisible. They ain't one angels, and that's so easy to say. But there are people, you'd be surprised, this thing is heavy. You talk about the heaviest stars that's ever come out of Hollywood? You're in it right now. You're in it. You're part of it. There's no mystery or story ever came out of Hollywood heavier than what you and I have. We are the greatest quote-unquote story ever told. Living it. I only have time to read one other part of this, is only a piece of this. He says, expositors or writers have imagined correspondence where none, in fact, exists between the type and the anti-type. And even if it did, there is nothing to prove a special divine intent. He's saying that some people misinterpret the scripture. That we already know. But constitute one thing, the type of another, as the term is generally understood with reference to scripture, Something more is needed than mere resemblance. The former must not only resemble the latter, but must have been designed to resemble the latter. It must have been so designed in its original institution. It must have been designed as preparatory to the latter. In other words, there are people that God worked on in a special way that sets up a chain reaction that results in us being here now. After all, we're all once born, we are born through people, are we not?
That's right.
Like a ripple effect down through the loins of the people. And here we are. When you read what you read in the Bible, you read about yourself. You read about yourself. You say, am I God's chosen people? I don't feel it. I feel like I think of it now. That's right, because I'm not. That's exactly what God has chosen us. In fact, the word Negro means dead. Go back to its Greek roots, it means dead. And that's what we've been, dead. No argument. But my dear brothers and sisters, we are a chosen people. We are the most ruined, stomped on, made nothing people on the planet. Never has been a people who've gone through what you and I have gone through and reduced to absolute zero.
That's right.
And the purpose in God for allowing this is to bring out of this people now who are new. We're not what we used to be. We're not what we were 400 years ago. This is something brand new. Brand new. So in this brand new state, reduced to zero, God puts into this people supreme wisdom. What's the purpose? You, babies, grow up to rule the world. Rule the world. What are you coming here for? To get training. To qualify for more training. To rule the planet. And beyond that, the universe.
That's right.
Folks say, rule the universe. Look. White folks made a contraption, got inside, go to the moon, and come back. Right?
Yes,
What's the basis of that? He learns something of the mathematical aspects of certain laws of nature. He reproduces it in his mind. He fashions things according to what he has learned, get in it, and making use of those same laws. It comes back. Simple. Nothing complicated. The Almighty Muhammad taught us that everything you see outside is in us. Human beings are the source of everything. And the more and more we learn about ourselves and what's going on, we have to watch the no problem at all. Does that make any sense?
Yes, sir.
The type as well as the anti-type must have been preordained, and they must have been preordained as constituent parts of the same general scheme of divine providence. It is this previous design and this preordained connection which constitutes the relation of type and anti-type. I don't have any more time to go beyond that, but I want you to think on that piece. You and I are significant people. You're way more than significant than what you think.
That's right.
If there is a God, use your reason. Go home tonight and think. If there's a God, let's say you don't believe it. And I didn't say enough today to help. I mean, I know I didn't cover everything that should be covered on that subject about God. If you worship less than a human being, you worship less than yourself.
Right.
That's one of those self-evident truths that I gave us to think of. Powerful statement. Go home and think. If there is a God, you got any feelings or any intelligence at all, why you let this happen? There's got to be a reason.
Right.
And the reason's got to make sense.
Right.
And it's got to go beyond the white man's thinking. Right?
Yes, sir.
So now, my dear brothers and sisters, let me end this short and abbreviated talk with this thought. That our brother, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and I've detailed this somewhat in this one, was produced by God in advance to solve a problem, or to be a huge solution or key. He's like a key. Solve a problem in anticipation of the conditions God saw we'd be in. They saw the white man as so messing over our minds. There are only around 144,000 of us would respond properly to the truth. God loves this people. If the 40 million of us, 144,000, something like 0.0036, if the 50 million of us is something like 0.004, that's nothing. He wants to save this people. He doesn't want the devil to mock him. But deeper than that, he loves this people. In my next article, if it please Allah, History 8, I point out in there something about, I deal with the minister's heart. And part of it, he has a heart just like God. If you know Minister Farrakhan, if you hear him talk, I don't mean just off the roster, but in his everyday practice, he's all about the business of saving lives. Saving lives. And then after saving them, improving them. Please something. He wants help. He wants us to help him. Help him save ourselves and save lives.
That's right.
You can't do it dumb. You got to get down and hit the books. And part of hitting the books involves the proper kind of interaction with one another. With every brother and sister you see, I don't care what you think of us. That's a brother and sister hand-picked by God himself. Even if you're a little overweight, right? I was overweight 2 weeks ago. Went all the way up to 163 pounds. To me, that's bad. Gotta lose weight. We gotta get ourselves in the best possible condition we can get in.
Right.
Don't talk about how old you are. You're alive. You have a contribution to make. You're here to do a job.
That's right.
I don't know what I'm here for, because you haven't been studying properly.
Right.
You don't think God Almighty would let you be a producer to make the show. You're here, and then never show you a way to learn who you are, what you're here for? That's crazy. Big subject. Take that up another time. But I hope what I've gone and dealt with so far is clear and thought-provoking. Brothers and sisters, when you read about the New Testament, the book of Acts, you're reading what we've been going through the last 17 years. A man named is Paul. Paul's a sign of our brother. Peter's a sign of our brother. Stages. Stages. Paul said, follow me. And Paul was moving toward becoming one with Jesus, wasn't he? There are times when he spoke as if he was part of the congregation. Didn't he? And there were other times he spoke as if he said, come on, follow me. And he spoke of the followers as the bride of Christ. And there were other times he spoke as if he was one. Minister Farrakhan did not lie.
That's right.
He said that he heard his teacher's voice.
That's right.
That man escaped. The book even deals with how did the minister come by thinking, changing his thought. I mean, look, he's not a fool.
That's right.
Here's the man who looked at a body in a coffin, was convinced that was his teacher. 6 years later, he's standing before the world, well, 5,000, but before the world later on, and saying his teacher is alive. What happened? You need to know that, don't you?
Right.
Now, brothers and sisters, you know one thing we got to do? We got to grow.
That's right.
How do you grow? You and I feel great when you come to the building and see 15 people that you bought. You call them in secret. Don't you? You feel good. Is there anybody here that somebody else bought that's here right now? Is there any Muslim that's here right now? And there's somebody else that you bought sometime in the past who's now a registered believer? Who'd you bring, sister? She bought you. Every time you see each other, there's a good feeling. Isn't that wonderful? Somebody bring you a, would you raise your hand a minute? Are they sitting here right now? Who? Where is she?
Sister Dorothy.
Where's Sister Dorothy? She's somewhere here. And you never forget that person who bought you. You can't. It's a wonderful chain reaction, isn't it? I just want to chat with you for a few minutes. I just want to stimulate your mind on Mr. Farrakhan. Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted you to think a little deeper on your brother.
That's right.
He's not just a beautiful speaker.
That's right.
We got a lot of that. If that's all he is, we out of here. White folks will roll us over in a minute.
That's right.
But if he's a man fashioned by God himself. Then to turn him down is to turn yourself.
That's right.
In the deepest sense of the word, it is to turn down God's gift. In the deepest sense of the word, it's to turn your ancestors down. It's to spit on their grave. That your sacrifice means nothing. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's to read the history of our people and what we've gone through and say to hell with them. Our people produced this man. I know there's more talk to get into it, but I want you to think on that. My dear brothers and sisters, this is an honor to have the privilege to just bear witness. I know, when I say this, I know what I'm looking at. I've been studying this teaching for 40 years. I didn't quite have the excellency, but 40 years since I began to come. And I really, I'm so happy to be alive right now, to see and to understand to some degree what it means to live in the time of the coming of God himself.
That's right.
We could have been born 100 years ago.
That's right.
500 years in the future. Fine, that's great. Be a much better situation 500 years from now. But to be alive now, in the giddy-up moment, man, that's it. To have a chance to participate in the foundation of a world that will have no end. Now look, one thing we got to get straight, all of us go through these conflicts, inner conflict and turmoil from time to time. You know what that's the nitty-gritty of that is? One world is going out, another world coming in. Each one of us at the same time. Naturally, if you go out and see property, part of which is being built up, or one property being built right while another part being torn down on the same ground, it looks like a mess, doesn't it? And sometimes you and I feel that way on the inside. But if we just back up and try to understand the process, we can deal with the entire situation a lot better and deal with each other a lot better. Huh? I mean, that's greedy. Assalamu alaikum. Offering each other peace. That's top of the line. And if your brother and sister not feeling so good, try to think of some way to motivate them. Or say a word to cheer brother and sister up. Remember, you can't be happy nor sad by yourself. You know, if I'm sad, something's bad, you're going to tell somebody.
That's right.
Things are going bad, you find somebody to tell that to. And when you hit the lottery, no, you don't get it. When things go good for you, you tell somebody. We are all interconnected. And you'll never see that until you really realize all black folk got precisely the same nature. The combination of qualities is different, but the same qualities. The level of growth or maturity, not all the same, no problem. Same natures. By reason of that fact alone, every one of us are related one to another. So I thank you so much. I got to get on out of here.
Thank you, brother.
Go to Chicago. See my big brother. That's what I call him. I call him that person. I'm glad that I've helped him. Add something to our vocabulary.
Yes, sir.
I certainly will give him.
Yes, sir.
And should I tell him that you're going to raise, that you always stop the process here? Stimulating the whole region? Just the donating on the side stuff. 114 grams between now and beautiful black people in California that love. Some of us call him in 5 degrees. Just love it. Know him and love him. Just do LA, there's no telling what y'all going to do. Whenever you decide. That's all you need to do is decide. This mosque, back to 1958, I used to call this place the Elephant. This mosque, within 3 months, had 30 people that we pulled together to 325, 350 in 3 months. I know that because I was secretary. There's a lot of Muslims in this area. Some of us a little mixed up. A lot of us. And all that needs to be done is clear up. Just get the windshield wipers going. I don't care. As you heard, you saw what the minister wrote. None of us are past being redeemed. The raunchiest of us is God in the messed up form. Right? Sure. Don't tell them what you're going to do when you decide. When you just decide to do it. But you can't decide just as an individual. It must be a collective effort. Right. White folks now have written a book called Healing Words. The white folks now prayer put it in the laboratory. They found prayer works. You can buy it for $22.95 in the bookstore. Or you can just forget that and try it more. But if you read it, you'd be surprised. Prayer works. Prayer works. I thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sometime soon. An interesting place.
Yes, sir.
You know, I was approached by some people. I only know one person. Two sisters who came through Phoenix, first part of May 1977. He was a brother, very good brother. I love that brother. He's dead now. And he wanted me. He said, brother, we got $30,000. There's 12 of us. If you will move to Los Angeles, start the Nation of Islam real bad. I communicated to the sisters that I'm not the man to do that. And I gave my reasons. They didn't understand. They turned me down. And they started calling me names and calling me coward. I said, one day you'll never regret that because you will see what I'm trying to get you to see with words now. You see it in reality. 4 months later, of course, Mr. Farrakhan stood up. You need to understand why I hate you. If this is the man who stands between black folks and white folks on this side and the chastisement on the other, there's a deep reason for this man's being raised, this man, Farrakhan, being raised out here. Tons of talent, black folks all over America. There's a peculiar kind of talent out here in the West, which once harnessed is like monstrous sea biscuit. You ever heard of sea biscuit? Horse used to run last until he got himself together. As the minister said last week, talking about the West, he indicated in a very interesting way the potential of the Muslims out here in this part of the country. Very interesting. You need to go back over that tape and study that section. I don't want to get into it. You need to go back and study the law. It seems so simple the way he said it. But you know, going down, being funky, being messed up, that's an indicator of talent, ability, power. Yeah. You say yeah, but do you really understand? Look, again, at slavery. Can you go any more down than that? Yet these people, us, reduced to zero. That's only an indication, among other things, of the extent upward to which we're capable of going. So I thank you so much. I'm going to tell Minister Farrakhan that you all have agreed to raise $114,000 in addition to doing everything else that he wants done.
Yes, sir. Allahu Akbar.
90 days, he said, you'll have $114,000 for every sir in the Holy Ghost. Okay, I thank you. I really don't want to go. I had better go, otherwise I miss the plane. If I miss the plane, I'll be in trouble. So I'm out of here. Minister Arbe is going to do the acceptance. And I'm going to get out of here. Where's the help? Which way do I go? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
In the name of Allah, with the message of the Most Holy,
I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who appeared in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his Christ, and Minister Farrakhan, his beloved reminder, warner, and comforter to us all. I greet my beloved sisters and brothers with our nation's greetings of peace once again of Assalamu alaikum.
Sir.
Brothers and sisters, I'm not going to be long with you today. I'm going to bring up the regional secretary to let you know some of the very important things that we have in front of us. But before we do that, how many of you are out today for the very first time at Muhammad Mosque number 27? Would you just stand so we can acknowledge our guests? Just stand up. Sent forth, that they might hear the truth of his calling, that they may choose between life and death, good and evil. And so we're thankful that you not only heard the call, but you answered the call. I would like for all of those, Brother Mr. Charles, if you would mind to come and stand in the front, that you might receive all of those who heard that truth emanating from our brother today, and believe that Allah touched you in some special way. And if while the message was being spoken, you felt God's presence, knowing that God had not only sent you here, but that God is communicating to you, that you might have the opportunity to have life after knowing death. And if God touched you in that special way, on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I would like for you to come forth and to shake the hand of Brother Minister Charles X, that you may have the privilege and opportunity of coming into our orientation class for our women or for our men, whichever class you properly belong to as a brother or a sister. The sisters will go to the sisters class for more training. The brothers will go to the brothers class. But if Allah touched your heart in that special way, and you would like to learn more of how you can become a part of this great cause and commission of God, backing, helping, aiding, and supporting not just a man, but the man of God who's building the kingdom of God on earth, not after you're dead, but while you're living. If God touched you in that way, would you come forward, brothers? Please stand and come to the center of the aisle. Don't hesitate. This is your great getting up morning. Wonderful gifts and presents that God has given us. Because everyone who stood to the call is a gift from God. Right. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to relinquish the rostrum for the regional secretary. I'd like to stay, but I want to join Brother Jabril briefly. And whether some may know or some may not know, but I was blessed by the grace of God to have a brand new baby boy. Okay. He had a little with some blood circulating his lower intestine, but it's all clearing up. He's been on the
praise to God.
And when I was asked my wife what name she wanted to name him, before we left, it kept ringing in my ear, so I decided to give him the name Farad Amir Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
We need your help here at the mosque because we've got to pay the bills to keep the mosque functioning.
So we want you to know what those are. Don't run away. Help us so that we can all stay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And also, as we are working on the charity, let us also be found. We've all been under great stress, but now we're coming out of the stressful side after difficulty comes in. We're getting ready to go into another period where we'll be great builders here in the city of Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
We need your help. We need your support. Be patient with us, but let each of us be about the business of transforming our lives and being supportive of one another in the transformation of their lives.
Yes,
I
sir.
thank Allah for each of you. May Allah bless you. I'm going to ask our beloved Regional Secretary, Brother Michael 5X, to come forward. Please receive him with the round of